work up, down, in and out, throws in the mid-60s. Her ball really explodes through the zone.
Kowalik started slow out of the gates in game number 1, but has reached her level so far over the course of Kentucky's 3 games, hitting 5 for 10 so far in the regional. Notre Dame with the corners in, Grimm and Gens defending against the speed of Kowalik.
Yeah, and how do you defend the leading hitter in the nation, someone who's got speed and power? Well, you pull your infield in tight. Look how tight the corners are for Notre Dame, trying to take away the short game. You pull your middle infield in the baseline, trying to get to the ball very quickly, and you leave your outfield at normal depth because she also can swing away with a lot of power.
She's been their starting catcher every game dating back to April 2nd. And has hit leadoff for them now in all 56 games this year. The most hits in the history of the program during the regular season, has only continued to add to that total in the postseason. Tidd falling behind 3-0 and just misses the zone. 4 pitches, and Kowalik in her 22 stolen bases aboard at first.
So disciplined at the plate. You see the batting average, it's just eye-popping, over 500 here in mid-May. Her on-base percentage also equally impressive as she draws a lot of walks, her 23rd of the season.
Tidd's first strike is in against Tatum Spangler, who brought one of the highlight moments of the regional yesterday with a running grab that saw her then take a couple steps, collide with the padded wall out in right field, and hang on for a huge run-saving catch. Her bunt is down the third base line, fielded cleanly by Grimm. Marino, the second baseman, rotates over for the coverage of the sacrifice bunt. 1 out, Kowalik takes second.
Tatum Spangler can really do it all for Kentucky. Gets her barrel in front of the plate, just pushes the ball down. Her main goal was to move Kowalik into scoring position. Mission accomplished.
The senior Lauren Johnson takes ball 1. Kowalik dancing off of second base, realizing nobody was covering. Back on the bag, so Grimm chases her back.
Well, yesterday Kentucky got off to a hot start in the first inning, scoring 3 runs, but that's all they scored in the 12-3 defeat.
And those can be the peculiarities of the postseason. One of the teams eliminated earlier in this 4-team regional was Miami, Ohio, the 2nd highest scoring team in the country during the regular season. That offense did not travel as well as they would have liked, making the trip south from Oxford, Ohio. And the Wildcats hoping they can juice up their run total here, needing a win in this game to force a winner-take-all game number 7.
That is something Kentucky has not done before, seeking their 4th straight Super Regional, but they've never got to a Super Regional from the losers bracket. They've been to 4 out of the last 5 Super Regionals, 7 out of the last 9 Super Regionals. Playing in this game is very familiar territory for Kentucky, but not advancing through the losers bracket.
2-2, swung on and missed, strike 3. Johnson goes down on strikes after the leadoff walk to Kowalik. Tidd has 2 down.
Peyton Tidd is very calm, cool, and collected in the circle. This is a low rise ball. It's got a late break on it. Good velocity, throws it right past Lauren Johnson.
And of the players who had really phenomenal regular seasons, not only just in the SEC, but especially as a freshman, Erin Koffel was near the top among that list. 16 home runs, one of the several Kentucky freshman records that she now owns. But she's still in search of her first base hit in the regional, stepping in 0 for 6.
And Coach Lawson's showing a lot of faith in her true freshman, keeping her in the the cleanup spot. She's been in that position the majority of the season.
And she hits a 1-1 through the middle into center field. Kowalik around third, she scores. Koffels' first hit of the postseason is a big one. An RBI single. Kentucky 1, Notre Dame nothing.
Takes a pitch on the outer half of the plate, doesn't try to pull the ball, just drives it right back up the middle. And with Kowalik at second base, there is no stop sign. One of the fastest runners in the nation scores easily. Kentucky on the board first.
Mallory Payton, who had the big day yesterday. 2 out, runner on at first base. For the senior from Madisonville, Kentucky. She's one of the players that helped this team to a huge start right out of the gate, 19-0. Their best start ever, building on what was the Women's College World Series trip back in 2014, when that Wildcat team started 12-0. She scoops that one out of play, 2-1.
Now we get to this time of the season. Not many teams left playing and competing. It all comes down to that timely hit. Can you come through when your team needs it? Kentucky already with a 2-out RBI in this game to get on the board. And of course, there's not a coach in the country watching this game, or really anyone watching this game, that says, wow, those leadoff walks, you know what they do. They come back to hurt you a little later. And just one hit so far in this inning, but because of that leadoff walk, Kentucky able to get on the board.
And Payton continues her sweet hitting from yesterday's game. It's into the gap. Koffel is waved around third. She scores standing up. 2-0 Kentucky.
Well, not just one 2-out RBI. How about a second one in the same inning as Mallory Payton continues to show her power? The extra base hit, we saw 2 of them yesterday in the elimination game. Picks up right where she left off, and with 2 outs, Koffel has a full head of steam. Kentucky doubles their lead to 2 in the first inning.
Payton, who's been playing with an injured right hand since the end of March, has the wrap on that right hand at second base. Renee Abernathy, the 6th Wildcat here in the top of the first to step in against Tidd.
We saw this same kind of offensive explosion in the first inning for Kentucky yesterday when these two teams met, and we see Alexis Holloway up in the bullpen already going to work in the first inning. We saw a pitching change. They went to Morgan Ryan in the first inning yesterday. And after giving up 3 runs early, Alexis Holloway in the circle, Morgan Ryan did not allow another run, just 2 hits the rest of the way for Kentucky. We may see another early pitching change here for the Fighting Irish.
Deanna Gumpf has not been shy about pulling her starter quickly in games here, whether it's been the ACC Championship or here in this regional.
Well, and they have a deep pitching staff. They have 3 pitchers that can get it done. Alexis Holloway, Peyton Tidd, the starter today. Morgan Ryan, we saw what she can do yesterday.
Yeah, it can be a coin flip. I mentioned the ACC Championship, their game against Virginia Tech. It was Holloway who ran into trouble early. She allowed 3 runs in just 1 1/3. And Tidd came in and worked the rest of the way. And then in the game against Miami, Ohio, the only one where Tidd has pitched so far, she went 3 2/3, allowed 2 runs, and then Holloway came in. That's deep to center field and gone! Renee Abernathy, straight away center field. Plates Peyton as well. A 2-run blast, 4-0 Kentucky.
Renee Abernathy is having a regional, her 6th hit in this regional. This one goes over the fence. It is all Kentucky in the first inning. Very impressive performance. An absolute blast. Easily clears the center field wall for Renee Abernathy. And now Kentucky, they're up 4 runs.
All of the offense coming with 2 outs for the Wildcats. It all started with a leadoff walk to Kayla Kowalik. A sacrifice bunt to move her to second was the first out. A strikeout was the second. And 3 straight run-scoring hits for the Wildcats, putting 4 on the board in the first. Humes with a high hopper to third, and that ends the inning. But what a way to start with their backs against the wall for Kentucky.
What a hot start for Kentucky. They are rolling on offense, getting it done. They are on top 4-0. Notre Dame coming to bat.
Championship presented by Capital One. Well, if you remember yesterday, Kentucky led 3-0. Notre Dame ended up with a run rule victory. It's 4-0 Kentucky in the bottom of the first. Abby Sweetcarroll yesterday, 2 for 4, drove in 3 with some extra base hits.
The leading hitter in the ACC. She has been consistent in the postseason as well. She has the ability to jumpstart this Irish offense. A lot of speed and power.
And Autumn Humes has pitched the majority of the innings in the circle for Kentucky, and she's back to work today.
Well, no surprise. She gets the ball handed to her in this second elimination game for Kentucky. Real leader for Kentucky in the circle. Really works the ball down in the zone, mixes in a little off speed.
Opposing teams have found Humes hittable so far in this regional. 12 2/3 innings of work for the starter. And she's allowed 14 hits, 6 earned runs, struck out 7, walked 3. And Sweet hits a 2-hopper to short. Koffel makes quick work of Abby Sweet, 1 away. So it's an explosive start for the Wildcats. Let's take a look, historically speaking, at what it means to get into this game and how difficult it is for a team like Kentucky to move its way into a super regional, needing to win 2 games today. Emma Clark, the batter, 4 for 7 in Notre Dame's 2 games, and 0 for 1 today. So teams that start out 2-0, as Notre Dame has, they've won 89% of the regionals since the current format started, going back to 2005. So conversely, if you are the team coming in 2-1, those teams have only gone on to the super regionals 11% of the time. Odds are against you trying to win 2 games against the same team in 1 day.
An arrested team. Well, Notre Dame's played 1 game a day.
Katie Marino, it's a long strike 1.
You know, the team, if you could stay in that winner's bracket, you need 3 wins, 1 per day, to advance to super regionals. And if you get in that loser's bracket, you know, you've got to play a lot more games. You got to play 5 games to advance. That is a huge difference. You're on the field a lot more, wear and tear. The advantage for Kentucky here is, though, they are playing at home.
Marino sends it deep out toward right center field. A long run for Abernathy. And the park holds it. 1-2-3 for Autumn Humes and the Wildcats.
In the first inning, Aaron Koffel gets the first run on the board, scores Kowalik. Back-to-back two-out RBI hits. This time it's Mallory Payton with the double. And to end the scoring, how about a center field absolute blast from Renee Abernathy, a two-run home run. Kentucky leads 4-0.
So Kentucky is trying to get out of the losers bracket, go on to supers. Notre Dame currently has the longest streak in the country of teams that have made regional appearances without reaching a super. It's at 16 years right now. The implementation of the format with super regional started back in 2005. Mississippi State still active today. Their streak is at 12. And of the 5 teams that emerged out of the ACC, so far Virginia Tech is ahead of the field. Of course, they had an extra day. We're a day ahead of everybody else, playing out in the Tempe Regional. And they are on to supers for just the second time. Their only other appearance back in 2008. On that big first, there were 2 Wildcats who did not come to the plate. Riley Smith, one of those 2. She leads off. And Alexis Holloway takes over for Peyton Tidd in the circle.
Well, no surprise to see the pitching change. The Irish does have a deep pitching staff. You're going to see her work vertically, up and down in the zone, rise ball, drop ball combination. Also has a changeup that is a difference maker. She can throw it on any count.
And there's bound to be some memories dredged up from several years ago for Alexis Holloway today, as Notre Dame 4 years ago played here in a Lexington regional and were eliminated by Kentucky. And Holloway, in all 4 games that the Irish played in that regional, was the pitcher of record for Notre Dame. Lands softly on the outside corner. Strike 3 called. Smith goes down.
And that is the pitch that will make all the difference in the world for Alexis Holloway. It's been a pitch she's had in her arsenal their entire career at Notre Dame. Just so tough, so deceptive with the timing of that off-speed pitch.
Miranda Stoddard has been holding down third base for Kentucky. She takes strike 1. She and Koffel in the cleanup spot, who delivered an RBI single, come in looking for their first hits of the postseason. She is 0 for 5. And that sat over the middle of the plate. She stroked it into the gap in left center. A big turn at first, but the speedy Sweet zings it back in. A 1-out single.
This one a little too much over the plate from Holloway. Hangs it right there for Stoddard. She does not miss it. But look at this hustle by Sweet to cut off the ball before it gets to the wall, preventing Stoddard from the extra base hit.
Back to the top, and Kayla Kowalik. She and Sweet go head-to-head for perhaps toughest out in this regional. And she walked to start things off for Kentucky, who, despite playing on their home field, they are the home visiting team here in game number 1. If they were to win this game, the teams would flip-flop designations, but due to COVID protocols here in 2021, would not switch dugouts for a 7th and final game. Kowalik in the air to left field. It sends Hanks on the run. She can't corral it at the wall. Stoddard is waved around third. The throw to the plate, not on target. Kowalik headlong into third. She's safe there. Kentucky's up 5-0 in the second.
Kayla Kowalik, a lot of short game, and this time she decides, you know what? I'm going to swing away. Hits it off the wall, an RBI for Kowalik. Good effort by Hanks. She just runs out of real estate. And Miranda Stoddard scores all the way from first base. Kentucky, love the emotion from Kentucky. Look at that slide from Kowalik. Has to go around Cassidy Grimm's foot to actually get to the bag. It is all Kentucky right now.
It's an RBI double for Kayla Kowalik, taking third on the throw in from the outfield. Kentucky just bringing it here with their season on the line.
And you look down at the scorecard, and as a team, they've almost hit for the cycle. We've seen a home run, a couple singles, a double. Very aggressive base running. Their mindset right now, they're definitely thinking about game one here with the elimination game, but they're thinking about, they're already into game two with their mindset.
And there was certainly plenty of time to rest for Notre Dame. They had the noon first pitch yesterday, got off the field around 2 Eastern, and so turn around and play at noon again. They were able to watch, wait, and most importantly rest, but it's been Kentucky that has had more juice thus far. Advantageous count for Spangler, and she makes the most of it. Drops it into left field. Kowalik scores from third. Kentucky up 6-0.
Tatum Spangler takes this outside pitch, hits it the other way, lets the ball get deep, just flares the ball out to the outfield. And how about the emotion we've seen from Kayla Kowalik today? She is fired up for her team, really leading the way, been on base 2 times, has scored 2 times from that leadoff position.
Lauren Johnson looking to get in on the offensive action after a strikeout against Tidd in the first. And for as good as Kentucky is feeling, Carol, still plenty of game to go here in our first of the day, but this has got to be a little bit deflating for Notre Dame coming out of the gates.
Yeah, Notre Dame on their heels a little bit. I mean, Kentucky keeps punching and punching and punching. You know, and that's what you need in the postseason. You've got to attack on offense. You've got to even have that attack mindset on defense, stay aggressive. And Kentucky took one on the chin yesterday, the worst postseason loss in the history of this program. And you can tell that did not sit well with the Wildcats. Came back and defeated Northwestern last night to get to the regional finals. And that is something that Kentucky wants to come back today and fight right back after that type of loss.
One-two is laid foul again. Johnson at the plate, one of 3 players who was in the lineup in that 2018 game. The regional here in Lexington against Notre Dame. She, Mallory Payton, and Autumn Humes, who didn't pitch but was the DP that day, all saw the field for UK.
Postseason, it's so important to have momentum on your side, and if you don't, to switch it quickly and get it on your side. Yesterday, the momentum all shifted to Notre Dame the entire game. Today, complete reverse.
The 2-2 is sliced into left field. A strikeout started the inning. 4 straight base hits against Holloway. It's first and second with 1 out for Kentucky. You know, one of the busiest days of the college softball postseason. The best way to follow it all, the 7 Innings live show on the ESPN app. Every game, every big moment on the road to the Women's College World Series, only on the ESPN networks. It's like your red zone channel for college softball, the biggest, the best of this final day of the regional round. Native Hoosier Erin Koffel came through with her first postseason hit to score Kowalik in the first, and has a chance to do some more damage here for Kentucky, which only in the second, but they saw it happen to them yesterday. Could, with the way they're hitting, put up a run rule victory and send it right back Notre Dame's way.
Well, that's the thing, when you look across the country at all the games being played and all the teams still left. We have 32 teams left. One has punched their ticket, as you mentioned earlier. Virginia Tech already into Super Regional, so you know, just a very few teams playing today, but there's so much parity across the country, not only the teams that have advanced into the NCAA tournament this year, but also that are still playing today. We've got some seeded teams who, like Kentucky, who are in the losers bracket, have to win 2 today to advance.
Two-one to Koffel, roll to third. Grimm hops back to step on the bag, get the out there. 2 out. Kentucky maintains runners at first and second, but the lead runner retired as Spangler heads back to the dugout.
Koffel really golfs this ball. It's not a strike. It's very low in the zone. And Notre Dame wisely takes the lead out.
Peyton takes in the dirt ball 1.
We've seen a lot of offense in this regional from both of these teams, Kentucky and Notre Dame. Both teams as a team hitting over 300. Kentucky hitting 327 coming into this game. It just shows you the depth and the breadth of their lineup. You know, if you're hitting well over 300 as a team and we're into late May, that means that you have a very strong team up and down the lineup. As Mallory Payton needs a minute. The ball found a little more of her body than she would have liked.
And with how well Kentucky has played, it's a stark reminder to think that how good they are, how well they started. They only finished tied for 5th in their own league, along with LSU at 13-11 in SEC play. Florida and Arkansas tied for 1st, then Alabama, Missouri. And all of those teams are just 1 win away from moving on to Supers. The SEC, though, has had 3 teams of the 12 that they sent to the postseason eliminated, with Tennessee, Auburn, and Texas A&M seeing their seasons come to an end. All but 1 team from the league qualifying. The exclusion was South Carolina. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 on, 2 out. And Peyton with a fly down the line to left. Too long of a run for Hanks.
And also impressive is what the ACC is doing in this tournament. All 5 teams that have advanced are still playing on regional finals day. Virginia Tech already punched their ticket. 2 super regionals, 4 other teams still alive today.
Nice stop by Grimm on the ball in the dirt as the count goes full. Notre Dame and Florida State start the day just 1 win away, with the Seminoles trying to get to their 9th super regional. And Duke and Clemson need to win twice today to advance as they try to get to supers in each of their first NCAA tournament appearances in just their 4th and 2nd overall seasons, respectively. So pretty good for the ACC to stand up that way, to be equal with the Pac-12, each of them with 5 teams left in the postseason field.
I mean, we're getting to rare air. You know, you start with around 300 teams in Division I, and today we're down to 30 teams competing, 31 with obviously Virginia Tech already in, but just, yeah, you're in rare air when you're playing on regional finals day.
A dribbler on 3-2. Grimm's only play is across the diamond to first, and that ends the inning. Well, Kentucky went from a 4-0 lead to a 6-0 lead as the hit parade continued in the second.
Another big inning from Kentucky. Kayla Kowalik showing you her power. It is all Kentucky. The hit parade continues. Notre Dame coming to bat.
Super Regionals.
Just a little bit more than 3 years to the day when Abby Cheek led Kentucky to a run rule victory against Notre Dame. The Irish were limited to just 1 hit that day. Kentucky's got to win twice today to go on to supers, but they've never done it out of the losers bracket. And the big gray cloud that has been hanging over Notre Dame in the postseason can be wiped away, but it's going to be a steep uphill climb here, at least in this first game, as they've been to 22 straight postseasons, and in the super regional era, 16 straight trips to regionals without advancing out of this first round. Mike Cousins, Carol Bruggeman with you as these teams duel in Lexington on a gorgeous day. And Kentucky has scored 6 in their first 2 trips to the plate. Leah Hanks leading off here is only the 4th batter of the afternoon for Notre Dame.
Such an impressive start for Kentucky. They have, you know, they've have their backs to the wall today. This is an elimination game for them, and they came out throwing punches. And this is the time of year where that experience matters. Postseason experience matters. You know, the first time you try to advance, it's just the more experience you have on the field, the more times you've been through that, the more times a coaching staff's been through that, it really does make a difference.
It's a 1-2 pitch from Humes. Carol, how often do you see the pitcher glove hand with the batting glove there?
I think there's a lot of players who love to wear their batting glove under their glove. If you look around the field, you're going to see a lot of players who like that feel. They like the feel of the glove, the batting glove under the glove, more so than just their hand. Plus your hand can get a little sweaty.
Slow roller off to second base. And Hanks is retired, and 1 down. 4 up, 4 down for Humes, who's feeling good to start. Well, it's like the quarterback in a cold weather game sometimes. would like to wear that glove on there. Just a little bit of a better feel, I suppose.
Yeah, just, again, a lot of it has to do with, just the humidity or just the feel. If you get a little hot, your hand gets sweaty, the glove can fall off. The batting glove helps absorb that a little bit. But mainly it's a feel. Some players like it, some players don't.
The Irish green jerseys today. And these are special uniforms that only get broken out on the right occasion, and that's when a series victory could be in hand. And that's what they'd get here with a win in this game against Kentucky, a trip to Supers. Gens with a hard liner, but Johnson is right there to get it. 5 up and 5 down to start for Humes.
And when you're pitching with this type of lead, your offense gives you, 6th spot on the scoreboard, and you're heading to the circle in the 2nd inning. That just mentally gives you a lift if you're in the circle. I mean, you try not to play and look at the scoreboard. You try to play the same every time, but just human nature. Autumn Humes knows she's got a little cushion there, and so she's going to be able to pitch a little more loose, a little more relaxed. We've seen that so far from the senior in the circle.
The freshman Karina Gaskins, 10 home runs in the regular season, but is hitless in the postseason. She's been bumped down a couple spots in the lineup as well. Leah Hanks, prior to yesterday, had only hit cleanup once all year for Notre Dame, and now is in that 4 spot in back-to-back games.
And that's the pitch, that pitch up in the zone. That's been the nemesis for Gaskins. A lot of power hitters, you see that. It looks so good coming in, and a lot of swings and misses. Good discipline there to lay off that pitch from Gaskins.
And she lets 2 pitches that may tempt other batters go by. The count goes full as Humes has yet to allow a base runner for Notre Dame. Payoff pitch. Blaine on to first, inning over. 6 up, 6 down for Autumn Humes. You're watching the 2021 NCAA Softball Championship presented by Capital One. We'll be down to 16 teams at the end of the day. One of the most intriguing regional matchups, Alabama-Clemson. Plenty of power with Oklahoma-Wichita State, and great pitching out in Seattle, Carol.
Just these 3 games, just sit back and enjoy the competition. Going to be tough for Clemson in their first year in the NCAA tournament, having to win 2 at Alabama, but they have a team and Valerie Cagle that can get it done. And Washington, Michigan getting the first game of that series. Washington in the same situation as Kentucky, have to win 2 at home out of the losers bracket to advance.
Yeah, among the national seeds here as Kentucky comes to the plate up 6-0 in the 3rd. Abernathy, a 2-run homer already today. National seeds, Tennessee and Arizona State, number 9 and number 15, as it goes 1 through 16, are out. Duke, Kentucky, Washington, all needing to win twice today to move on to the next round. You said, in the neighborhood of 300 teams to start the year. We'll be down to 16 by the end of the day. And the further you get into the postseason, the more exclusive the club becomes of the teams who have made it that far, especially on a consistent year in and year out basis. 48 teams have ever appeared in a super regional, but 9 teams, just 9, account for almost half of all super regional appearances.
It just shows you how much experience does matter. If you've been there, done that, you expect to do that. You feel comfortable in that pressure-packed environment.
Abernathy with a seeing eye base hit. Back through the middle, down 2 strikes. And just locates the spot behind the second base bag for her second hit.
I mean, she has been on fire throughout this regional, hitting from the 6th spot. That's her 7th hit of the regional.
Carol, you talked about experience. What else do you think accounts for, Kentucky has been to 7 supers, but the teams at the top, those 9, they're familiar names, of course: Alabama, Arizona, Oklahoma, Washington, Florida, Tennessee, UCLA, Michigan, and Georgia. What is it that has historically separated those teams have allowed them to be stalwarts of the postseason?
Well, first and foremost, playing well all season long and earning that seed and being able to play at home. When you look at the amount of teams that have advanced because they're playing in the friendly confines of their home facility, I mean, in their home crowd and everything that goes along with that, that has a lot to do with it. And you look at a lot of the coaches behind those 9 programs. I mean, they've been with their programs a very, very long time.
Out at second, and a double play for Notre Dame. With a couple of grad students up the middle, Marino and Purcell will get the job done.
This is what Notre Dame needs, a little momentum changer. Good exchange at second base. The flip is up nice and high, so Chelsea Purcell can transition the ball quickly. That's what Notre Dame needs. Turn the momentum here. It's been all Kentucky so far in this game, and moving Chelsea Purcell from third base to shortstop has made such a difference in this Irish defensive lineup. She's plays with fire, plays with enthusiasm. Tough to take her off the field.
Rachel Lawson arguing that call. Her opinion made clear, and that's one that, if instant replay were available in the postseason, assuredly would draw a coach's challenge with close calls not only at second but also at first.
Yeah, and so much the call at first base, even at second base, I think felt like Abernathy may have beat that out as well. Good, Kentucky does have good team speed.
So Holloway gets the short inning on defense that the Irish needed.
The party that every player wants to be at.
It's going to be passionate softball for sure.
Back to crown a national champion for the first time since 2019.
They get to chase history here.
The Women's College World Series returns to Oklahoma City. It all starts Thursday, June 3rd, 12 Eastern, live for you on ESPN. For more on the 2021 Women's College World Series, go to NCAA.com, the official home for all 90 NCAA championships. With Carol Bruggeman, Mike Cousins, last of the third. Kentucky trying to play and force a 7th game here in Lexington. A win for Notre Dame vaults them into the Super Regionals. But a great start for the Wildcats offensively. And in the circle for Autumn Humes, who has faced 6 batters and not yet had a runner on base. Now Peyton Tidd started in the circle, did not get an at-bat, so here is Alexis Holloway, who came in to pitch in the second.
It's been a tough call for Coach Gumpf to know who to have as the starting pitcher. We've had some pretty quick pitching changes for Notre Dame. Yesterday in the win, Holloway came out in the first inning. Today, Peyton Tidd gets through the first inning but makes the switch in the second inning.
Now the question is, on the other side for Kentucky, the later they get into this game, and if their lead stays as it is, not insurmountable, but certainly difficult to overcome, do they think about taking Humes out later in the game and perhaps giving her a little bit more rest for game 2?
Well, Humes certainly has thrown the most pitches in this regional for Kentucky, but right now she is in a rhythm, very efficient, just 20 pitches. And we're into the 3rd inning here. I think they stick with her.
She'd thrown 12 2/3 coming into today, 197 pitches over those 3 games total, but is about to go 9 up and 9 down if she retires Cassidy Grimm to start off this game.
You know, this is Autumn Humes' 5th year. She was the only Kentucky player to take advantage of that extra year of eligibility. I mean, this is win or season overtime for Kentucky, and they have relied on Autumn Humes all season long. I look for her to put in a lot of work today for the Wildcats. It's going to be tough to take the ball out of her hand. You can see there is very efficient, a lot of zeros up there, but you know, no strikeouts. She is not a big strikeout pitcher. She really controls the hitters, pitches to contact, trying to make the ball move through the zone so the hitter can't get it, you know, barrel the ball up, hit it off the end of the bat, get handcuffed on the hands. And her defense has been solid behind her today.
5 of the first 8 outs coming on the ground, and 6. We go back to the rodeo analogy that Coach Lawson gave us of, you know, sometimes when you're in rodeo, certain events, you're riding the horse, but you get the credit even though the horse did the work. And here it's the players who are finding their resiliency and take this 6-0 lead into the 4th. Stoddard completing the 2nd trip through the lineup for UK.
I think, you know, Notre Dame has a deep bullpen. Alexis Holloway currently in the circle, came in relief for Peyton Tidd, who started the game. They've been a 1-2 punch all season long for Notre Dame. They also have Morgan Ryan, who we saw came in yesterday, pitched 4 2/3 inning, came in very early in that game in the 1st inning in relief, held Kentucky to 2 hits. So you're thinking, okay, what's Notre Dame going to do here with their bullpen? And I believe they will stick with Alexis Holloway here as long as they can in this game. Let their offense fight back. You know, they absolutely want to get through this first game and punch their ticket to Super Regionals. But, you know, now if you're Deanna Gumpf, you're also thinking ahead to how you're going to manage your staff if you do get to the if game.
So a lot of that then just becomes a preservation of having as many arms ready to go for game number 2, right?
Yeah, they can pitch by committee. They can go 2 innings with Tidd, 2 innings with Holloway, bring in Morgan Ryan. They all stay in the hitting lineup, so you've got a lot of flexibility there. The key is who do you start, because you can always come back to them.
High hopper, third base. Stoddard is down. And Kayla Kowalik, 2 plate appearances. She's reached twice, scored twice. Last time sent one to the outfield.
You see her use her legs a lot with her short game. Bunts, slaps, stolen bases, but she has power as well. She hit a double, took third base on the throw. She's been on base in both of her plate appearances so far today.
Overall, 6 for 11 in the regional. 1 hit from matching her number on the back of her jersey and 2 away from becoming the first Division I player with 100. And that was the number as a youth softball player she wanted to wear, but she couldn't. So she took the next best thing.
I mean, when you get up to triple digits, there's very few players throughout the entire course of history in Division I softball who have gone over the triple digit mark. Kayla Kowalik, the only player this season even near that mark. Just a credit to her consistency throughout the entire season, brings it every single game, every single at-bat, and really just uses her bat, kind of carves up the defense however she sees fit.
And she's on board for the 3rd time, ready to run. Rachel Lawson said what makes her unique is that it's her unpredictability at the plate. You don't have just a straight-up power hitter, not just a slapper. And as the catcher, she's involved with every play. Does a great job with the pitching staff. And we'll see what they do with Spangler behind her.
I mean, it's a feel from both teams today. You can feel it. Kentucky has come out with their boxing gloves on. I mean, they have punched early and often and have played very clean defense. Notre Dame just really seems on the defensive today.
Left side of the infield, Grimm in front of Purcell for the 2nd out. The latest news and information from the ACC each morning comes your way with Packer and Durham. Weekdays, 7 Eastern, here on ACC Network and ESPN app. And expect we'll see some softball guests on the show this coming week with 5 teams in the field to start the day. Notre Dame trying for its first super regional appearance, as Florida State is a win away from moving on as well, and it would be their 9th appearance in Supers. The only ACC team to have won a national championship, which Lonnie Alameda's club did in 2018. Can always expect a quality at bat from Lauren Johnson. Looking to hit something here. She does on 2-0, directly to Gens at first. And Kowalik is left on the base paths.
Notre Dame playing the hot corner. They're going to need a little more offense in this game to get back into it.
Irish joins us now. Your team was in a similar spot here in Lexington in 2018. What do you need to do this year to make the outcome different and move to Supers?
Well, I think we just have to get comfortable again. I think they jumped early, and that caused us to get on our heels a little bit, but now we just have to start attacking again.
Well, Coach, yeah, just going into that, playing off that, 12 runs yesterday off Kentucky. Nothing doing so far today. What are you looking for from your offense?
You know, I think we've had some really good at-bats. We just have to continue to keep having them and keep attacking. Again, like when you get back on your heels a little bit, it takes some time to get back in it, and that's what we're going to do.
Deanna, over your right shoulder, I think we saw Chelsea Purcell. She was having some fun. Looks like the spirits are still high in your dugout.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Thanks.
Purcell even having to wear the number 10 today. She usually wears number 9, but those are some of the perils of being on the road. The number 9 jersey got a tear in it yesterday, so she moves to number 10 today. And Notre Dame here in the last of the 4th has gone 9 up and 9 down. Autumn Humes perfect to this point, but Abby Sweet, one of the hardest outs in the country, hitting .457 coming into this game. Leads it off with a hard grounder and Notre Dame's first base hit of the day. Sweet delivers a leadoff single.
Well, it is tough to keep Abby Sweet down for an entire game. Just swings with reckless abandon. If the ball is anywhere near the plate, she is going to explode at it. And Notre Dame gets their first hit of the game.
A win for Notre Dame moves them on to Super Regionals for the first time. Kentucky, if victorious, forces a winner-take-all Game 7. And the winner here, we'll see the winner in the Tuscaloosa Regional, which is an Alabama-Clemson matchup. Alabama, the 2-0 team. Clemson, the 1-loss team. That takes a carom off of Stoddard at third, causes some disorientation. Koffel was out of range to make a play. 2 aboard.
Emma Clark ropes this ball to Stoddard, gets her glove up quick enough, but can't hold on to it. Actually closes her glove a little bit too early. A big break for Notre Dame.
Now it'll be Marino coming up. One of the 3 players who was in the lineup in that regional final back in 2018, along with Sweet, along with Holloway in the circle. So the postseason experience is certainly there for Notre Dame, as they have 2 aboard for the first time today. And Marino, one of the first 2 grad students in the history of the Notre Dame program, getting ready to step in. Back-to-back singles for the Irish.
We saw what Notre Dame's offense is capable of yesterday, putting up 12 runs against Kentucky after being down early in that game. Humes decides to go upstairs, doesn't do it often. And puts a little more heat on that ball as she gets it past Marino.
Bouncer into the hole, a foot race to the bag at third. Stoddard arrives a half step before Abby Sweet. 1 away, runners still at first and second, Marino and Clark. I'm not sure that as Stoddard approached third base, she realized just how quickly Abby Sweet was planning on arriving there.
Abby Sweet has a big motor. She almost beat that out. Just need to play every out with reckless abandon, intensity. Give your best effort every time. Saw that a couple times in this regional. The minute you take your eye off where the ball is or you don't hustle at 100%, puts you in trouble.
Hank's only base hit in this regional has been a home run. And it's earned her the cleanup spot. 1 ball, 1 strike against Humes. Retired all 9 Irish the first time through the lineup. 2 of the first 3 with base hits here in the 4th.
Seeing a lot more pitches from Humes in this inning already. After retiring every batter the first time through the lineup, usually within the first 2 pitches. And that brings Grace Ballman up in the bullpen.
Johnson has a beat on it. And as quickly as 2 are on, 2 are retired.
You know, Notre Dame, if you can just get 1 back and then 2 back and then the third one back and the fourth one back. You know, sometimes you feel like when you're down 6-0, you're trying to get it all back at once, and you know there's no six-run home run. So it's just do your job, focus on a quality at bat, make something happen for your team. In this case, for Sarah Gentz, who comes into this game hitting .500 for the regional in the first 2 games. Come up with a 2-out RBI, get your team on the board.
Gentz, the senior from Minnesota, who will be back to take a graduate year next year and work toward her master's in nonprofit administration. The daughter of athletes, her dad Tom played hockey and tennis in college. Mom Danny played basketball and tennis at Carleton College. She's got a 2-1 here, and so far the biggest moment of the game offensively for the Irish. Two-one out to right field. Something was brewing with Sweet and Clark aboard. The next 3 outs recorded. Notre Dame still kept off the board through 4. Welcome back to the 2021 NCAA Softball Championship presented by Capital One. 4 innings gone, and in the blink of an eye, Kentucky has taken a 6-0 lead. All those runs across in the first 2 innings, 4 in the first, 2 in the second. Renee Abernathy with a 2-run home run. And Carol, Kentucky was ready to go, knowing that if they didn't win this game, the season's over.
So impressed with their mindset, their energy. They have taken the offensive in this game. There is no doubt about it.
They're already going through the lineup for the 3rd time. This is their freshman shortstop, Erin Koffel, a 2-time Indiana Gatorade Player of the Year, one of the top recruits to come here in the Rachel Lawson era. The head coach, now the winningest in the history of this program in her 14th season.
I'm just so impressed with what she's been able to do this season, coming in and starting at a very challenging position for a freshman. The speed of the game is so different from high school and travel ball into Division I softball. And when you're playing shortstop, you have to make a lot of decisions. It's just not an easy position to adjust to. And not only that, but she's been in the power part of the lineup for Kentucky all season long. I mean, her numbers, when you're being compared to Kentucky greats like Abby Cheek, as you mentioned, FCA National Player of the Year in 2019, that's in some pretty solid company at Kentucky.
That gets a long ride down toward the bullpen, but foul. Strike 2 on Koffel. And Lawson said that one of the biggest adjustments for her, which is not uncommon for a freshman, but in the way that her numbers have been this year, was just facing SEC pitchers, and that a lot of times a 2-strike pitch is not going to see the strike zone. And it's whether you can recognize that and have the discipline to lay off of it. And she has. Like that, 3-2.
Well, all great hitters want to do one thing, swing the bat. You know, they love to get up there. If the ball's close, they get, you know, really excited. And that's something you saw Abby Cheek throughout her career. The amount of walks she drew as a senior, her on-base percentage, she really learned discipline in the strike zone. And we've seen that at a very early age here from Erin Koffel. Sometimes the best swing is no swing, and that's tough to do if you're a power hitter.
And the comparison is just uncanny, 5 years apart. And Koffel higher in every category relative to Cheek and their freshman seasons. Payoff pitch, climbs the ladder and rolls foul. How do you teach that discipline for a player to lay off of those enticing pitches?
All sorts of drills you can do, you know, just making sure that they understand the strike zone, standing behind them, letting them know where the pitch was in the zone, whether it was a strike or not. Putting colors on the ball, numbers on the ball. All sorts of gadgets out there.
Colors and numbers, that sounds fun.
Well, that at-bat right there shows you a lot about Erin Koffel. Fouled off a few pitches, battled, got rid of some pitches she couldn't drive, and was able to draw the walk.
Mallory Payton's driven in one of these runs today. Back-to-back base runners for Kentucky as they threaten to score more. 2 runs on the board here in this inning would open up the window for them to reciprocate a run rule victory handed to them in defeat yesterday by Notre Dame. We'll see if we get a pinch runner here with Renee Abernathy coming up. Visions of a big at-bat for her in the first.
Renee Abernathy having a monster regional. It's a monster home run. That's the deepest part of the park at John Kropp Stadium. It's a 2-run home run. Really put some distance on the scoreboard for Kentucky.
J.C. Babb steps in for Payton at first base as the pinch runner. Abernathy trying to do it all. She's homered and singled, and now looking to bunt and get those runners over with nobody out.
Well, Kentucky has 5 lefties in the lineup today. First 3, Abernathy and Riley Smith in the 8 spot, and they all can bunt, they all can slap, they all can swing away. Such a diverse hitting group.
That bunt rolls foul again, so it's quickly a 2-strike hole.
Well, Renee Abernathy is really a story in perseverance at Kentucky. You know, didn't play a whole lot early on in her career. And a lot of players wouldn't feel too good about that. They're working just as hard. But Renee Abernathy, Coach Lawson could talk all day about her, just put her head down and went to work and got better and competed and battled.
She waits back on a 1-2 pitch and flares it for a waiting Hanks for the first Kentucky out here in the 5th as they threaten to score for the first time since the 2nd inning. Sent just 7 batters to the plate between the 3rd and 4th frames. Humes with a couple of ground outs so far. Carol, what you said too has really been the message from Rachel Lawson with the ascent of this program within a top flight conference in college softball, of going from building up to a championship level. And she said, you know, it was fun figuring out how to get to supers, but now it's a lot harder to figure out how to continue to succeed at that level. It's a little bit more of a grind. It's pressure, which they welcome. And so her players deal with it every day. Check swing didn't go. And going back to the beginning of the season, where if you're planning to be in the postseason, you know that the teams you're going to face off against are likely to be within your geographical region, lest you end up in Austin, Texas. But early on, Rachel Lawson said, yeah, whether it's been Northwestern or Notre Dame, we've been keeping tabs on them all season, figuring that those would be teams, if they made the postseason, we'd see, and we wanted to be ready. And today they have been.
Conference matchups in the first round, can't happen. You have to sit, and there's no conference matchups in the first round. And with the SEC being such a strong conference, getting a lot of teams in, you know you're going to be playing someone outside of conference, first of all, but to your point, usually within driving distance.
Payoff pitch is a ground ball to short. Purcell finds Marino. And by the time she was ready to turn, Humes was already through the bag, so they get the out at second. And Koffel goes over to third. Still 2 on, and now 2 down for Kentucky. Riley Smith, like Humes, looking for her first hit today.
Well, and after Kentucky got on the board, scoring 6 runs through the first 2 innings, it's been pretty quiet for Kentucky since then. They've had some runners on. They have not been able to get any more across the board.
No, the bats have gone cold, even with a promising start in the 5th. 2 on, nobody out. Now not able to get him over or in. The Irish down by 6 coming to the plate.
Kentucky's season on the line. They turn to Autumn Humes in the circle. Just giving up 2 hits to the Irish all day, feeding her defense. They're playing very solid behind her and keeping the pitch count down, just 39 pitches through 4 innings, as she has shut out the Irish.
So far, so good. The only base runners for Notre Dame so far in the 4th. It's Gaskins, Holloway, and Purcell, 6, 7, 8. All ready to go here in the 5th. Notre Dame is the home team in game number 1. If we do have a game number 2, Kentucky will revert to being the home team.
And we saw Notre Dame put up 12 runs yesterday against Kentucky. This game is far from over, but the clock is ticking, so to speak. The innings are getting higher. Notre Dame showed a little life last inning, not able to get anything across. And the time is now for Notre Dame if you're going to start that comeback.
The Irish were the top hitting team in the ACC, 308 as a squad during the regular season. Their ERA was 5th in the league, 2.22, so a very well-balanced squad. In their 25th overall NCAA tournament appearance. Well, Humes is 3 batters away from completing her 2nd trip through the lineup. She hasn't struck anybody out, but her defense has had her back the entire way.
And that's what Autumn Humes is all about. Pitching to contact, feeding the defense, moving the ball around the zone, not being able to be predictable in the zone. Jamming hitters up, forcing them to reach, mixing speeds. I think what's really key for Autumn Humes is that pitch count. Typically it's something people talk a lot about, but may or may not be as important as people believe. Pitchers can tend to go a long time, but for Autumn Humes, who already has a lot of wear and tear on her body this season, she's pitched a very heavy load. She's pitched a heavy load in this regional. And they are looking at not just one game, but 2 today. They're going to rely on her heavily. She's kept that pitch count very low so far at just 47 pitches. I mean, she has faced 2 batters over the minimum, Mike, so far, and that's right where you want to be if you're Kentucky and Autumn Humes.
Hard to ask for much more than what she's provided so far. As Holloway, who's missing her commencement ceremony back in South Bend today, rips the single through the left side. Notre Dame has a 1-out base runner.
And Holloway just attacks this ball. It's a pitch up in the zone. She just is aggressive with her swing, hits it right past Stoddard at third base.
So as diplomas got handed out today at Notre Dame Stadium starting at 11 a.m., 6 members of this team, Holloway at first, Purcell another as a grad student, foregoing that ceremony to play here in the postseason. It's a long run and a nice grab by Stoddard. And they get a double play on a ball that might have disappeared as a routine foul ball. Stoddard gives the extra effort, zips it back to the infield, inning over.
Kentucky defense, it's not just been their offense today. How about this double play to end the inning? It is all Kentucky.
We were playing softball in February here in Clearwater.
The amount of great matchups that we have and great teams here, unparalleled.
We have some of the best talent in the country.
The best ticket, the hardest ticket to get in town.
If you are a softball fan, this is a place that you want to be.
You know, I hope the scheduling is fortuitous enough that if our boss Meg is listening, that we end up on the schedule for that. If not, I might just get on a plane and go down there anyway in February. The Clearwater Elite Invitational is back next year. You can find information at the website, St. Pete Clearwater Elite Invite.com. What do you say, Carol? Let's go.
I'm ready. Bags are packed.
She's Carol Bruggeman, the former Division I coach, current executive director of the NFCA. I'm Mike Cousins. It's Notre Dame and Kentucky, Game 6 and perhaps Game 7 later on. If Kentucky holds their lead here and forces a winner-take-all Game 7 in this Lexington Regional for the right to take on the winner of the Tuscaloosa Regional, which will be either the Alabama Crimson Tide or the Clemson Tigers, who need 2 wins today. Interestingly, though, this year, in a unique situation, that if Alabama were not to win that regional, it could still be played there, though. Stoddard crushes that one foul because the 16 sites that have been picked for the postseason will stay the 16 sites because of all the logistics that go into COVID-19 testing this year to make things easier for everybody along the way.
Well, if you're Deanna Gump at Notre Dame, you're of course thinking and believing your team's going to come back and win this game. We know they also have a very profound offense. Scored a lot of runs in this regional so far, 15 in just 2 games. But you're thinking ahead a little bit to the if game. Okay, as Holloway gets a strikeout of Stoddard to start the inning. And you're thinking ahead, okay, how are we going to work our pitching staff? She has 3 options. Could come right back with Alexis Holloway, who's, you know, given up a couple runs in the 2nd inning, but after that has really shut down Kentucky. Start with Peyton Tidd, who's fresh, but who has really struggled in this regional. Or come with Morgan Ryan, who really shut down Kentucky yesterday, coming in relief. And the question for me wouldn't be, you know, how do we manage the bullpen? It's, of course, who's going to start the game, but more importantly, who do you want to be able to turn to at the end of the game and work backwards? Because whoever your starter is, if you do have to remove them, they can re-enter. So I'd be working backwards if I'm Deanna Gump. Who do I want at the end of the game? And for me, that answer would be You know, Morgan Ryan in that middle relief slot, so you can stick with her the whole game. Or Alexis Holloway, who's had a lot more success in this regional than Peyton Tidd, although Peyton Tidd is the most fresh.
Well, there's certainly one unconventional choice that she's made relative to the rest of their season, and that's been with the cleanup spot, putting Leah Hanks there for the second and third times this season. The only other time she had hit there was back in April against Western Michigan in a non-conference game against a MAC opponent. Morgan Ryan has started 3 games this year. Tidd and Holloway combined have started 43. So it would be out of the ordinary for what Notre Dame has done, but you also want to consider how Ryan has pitched so far, and she looked very sharp when she did. And if you get in the 6-0 hole, you know, it's not insurmountable, but psychologically that does make a difference for the team. And so it'll be very intriguing to see if we do have that 7th game, what Deanna Gump chooses to do with her starting pitcher.
And you talked a lot about Leah Hanks moving up to that 4 spot, which was a big decision for Notre Dame. Typically it's been Karina Gaskins, but she's yet to have a hit in this regional, so tough to make any sort of shift up there. The other shift would be to move Sarah Gens up, who's been a little bit more of a hotter hitter for Notre Dame. But right now, they still have to contend with Kayla Kowalik.
Kowalik is a pitch away from perhaps reaching base for the 4th time in as many plate appearances. She's walked twice and ripped an RBI double in the 2nd. But only 2 hits for Kentucky since the 2nd inning. And no runs since then either. She taps the 3-2. And if Holloway didn't get that, Kowalik was going to be safe at first. So she grabs it and has retired the first 2 in Kentucky's half of the 6th.
Just when you have athletic pitchers in the circle that can make that sort of play, it's just, you know, you have 5 infielders out there, not just 4, not just a pitcher and 4 infielders. Notre Dame has 5 infielders. Holloway showing you her athleticism, getting to that ball.
Spangler drove in her 20th run with a single in that 2-run second for UK. And lifts this strong out to right field. Out of here. Tatum Spangler's 2nd RBI of the day, her 2nd home run of the year. Touchdown Kentucky, 7-0.
Watching Tatum Spangler continue to improve throughout the season is just a joy to watch. Here she shows you her power. Typically more of a singles hitter, an average hitter, absolutely unloads on this one and adds to the lead of Kentucky.
Fourth Kentucky batter of the inning is Lauren Johnson. So as Notre Dame defeated Kentucky by run rule victory yesterday, Kentucky is threatening, as they have been since the 2nd, to do that here. There have only been 3 run rule losses for Notre Dame this year, and none since early April. One came very early on in the season, February 13th against Alabama. And then at Florida State on April 3rd as part of a doubleheader, with the ACC going 4-game series this year in conference play. 1 Friday, 2 Saturday, 1 Sunday. And now Johnson is 2 for 4 with her 2nd single out toward left field.
Now at shortstop, number 21,
Johnson has just been steady for Kentucky. They have been consistent really through the lineup this entire game, a complete reversal of the game we saw yesterday.
So as Holloway closes in on 100 pitches, remember that Tidd only threw 26 in the start, as she pitched exclusively in the first inning. Purcell retires Koffel and the inning is over, but Kentucky's lead grows from 6 to 7 on Spangler's solo home run.
Well, Kentucky adds to the lead, showing you their power through the lineup. This time it's Tatum Spangler, a no-doubter over the fence. It's all Wildcats.
Kentucky, with its season on the line, came to play right from the jump against Peyton Tidd. Erin Koffel had her first postseason hit of her career as she drove in Kayla Kowalik. Mallory Payton, who was huge yesterday, came through with an RBI double. And Renee Abernathy, 220 feet to straightaway center at John Trop Stadium, well eclipsed that. They scored 4 in the first, 2 in the second, 1 more in the sixth, and it's 7-0 Kentucky. I guess, Carol, you can't say that at this point of the season anything is a surprise, but given how vast the gap was in scoring yesterday between Kentucky and Notre Dame, to have a complete flip-flop is a little bit of an eyebrow raiser.
It really is. It's like a teeter-totter, and it's almost like looking into the mirror. It's you know, Kentucky did not get defeated via the run rule the entire season until yesterday, and it's not going to happen here today against Notre Dame in the first game. But to come close, it's just, you know, these teams are very evenly matched.
That pitch from Humes, her 250th of the regional, as she had thrown 12 2/3 innings over the first 3 games for Kentucky, and appears poised at only 53 pitches here in the 6th to go the distance in Game 6 of the regional. Miranda Johnson, the pinch hitter here, in the number 9 spot, flies out softly to Johnson for the first out. And the biggest threat that Notre Dame has put together was started by Abby Sweet in the 4th. She led off with a single, their first hit of the day. Emma Clark had an infield single, but the next 3 batters recorded outs, and that has been it.
Just love Abby Sweet's approach at the plate. Super aggressive, gets deep into her legs. You know, I've yet to see her get cheated in any at-bat, but I've had the opportunity to see her play, and you know, the coaches talk about that all the time. She just does not take an at-bat off.
Just the 10th player in the history of Notre Dame to be first team All-ACC. And interestingly, Deanna Guff, you asked for a comparison, and she said a lot of the players that she thinks of are left-handed hitters when comparing to Abby Sweet.
And one of them that she mentioned was Megan Scioli, now Megan Bartlett, current associate head coach at the University of Texas, former head coach at Ball State. She also would swing the bat with that reckless abandon. I mean, for a right-handed hitter, she just possesses that elite speed and explosiveness. That's why she has all those extra base hits as well. She can drive it to the gap, and then she's got the speed to back it up. To get to second, get to third.
Two, a short trot for Spangler. And Sweet is out. 2 down. Well, a stark contrast between what they did yesterday against Kentucky, where that game felt out of reach very early, and 3 hits today. 2 from Sweet and Clark, and the other from Alexis Holloway in the 7 spot. A bounce over the circle. Koffels got it. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Autumn Humes, who has cruised through 6 and has 3 outs to get to force game 7.
NCAA Softball Regionals is presented by Capital One. What's in your wallet?
You're looking at Keeneland Racetrack in Lexington, Kentucky. 300,000 visitors annually. They've hosted the Breeders' Cup, an absolutely beautiful venue to watch horse racing, take in all of the fanfare, the hats, the excitement of horse racing.
Do you have any like Derby horse racing event kind of hats since you live in Louisville?
Well, I had the pleasure of attending the Derby only one time.
Only once?
All the time I've lived here because, you know, I was coaching softball all those years. We always played on the road. We always
that's right. How dare it get in the way?
We always had to travel and play away from the city because, you know, when the Queen of England comes to your city, you know, everybody else has to kind of clear out. But it's an absolutely beautiful event. And both of those tracks, Churchill Downs in Louisville, Keeneland in Lexington, just the site of many famous events. But I did get to go one year and to the Derby. And yes, Mike, I did purchase and wear a hat.
Now, my big question is, I imagine those hats probably don't come cheap. And so where does it just have a space taking up some room in your closet somewhere in the back these days?
Well, your trivia for the day on hats is that they actually come in a hat box. And so, yes, it's just, you know, put away for the next special occasion in the hat box.
Maybe next weekend, Super Regionals. It's a monumental occasion for softball teams that are getting there. Derby hat. A Sunday matchup, Florida State looking to get to Super Regionals for the 9th time against UCF on ACC Network Extra right now, with continuous action all day for you. We'll have our 7th game if this score holds for Kentucky, available for you on the ESPN app, and all the action will take you site to site on the 7 Innings channel on the ESPN app as well. Kentucky a win here forces winner take all as they'll try to get to Supers out of the losers bracket for the first time. And Notre Dame will have one more opportunity to try and reach Supers for the first time. I'm trying to plan ahead, Carol. I could go fedora, bowler, Panama hat, visor, baseball hat. You just let me know. We'll be in touch with each other over the course of the week for Supers for our hat selection. Alexis Holloway has really done an effective job. Allowed those 2 runs in the second and a solo home run to Spangler in the 6th, but it was the 4-run explosive first for Kentucky where they jumped out to that early lead. And Notre Dame has been held in check by Humes to just 3 hits so far. 2 quick outs for Holloway here in the top of the 7th.
It just hasn't been that offensive support. And that has been the difference. Notre Dame is definitely known for their offense this season, toward the top of almost every team offensive category in the ACC. Very rare to see a 0 on the board for them. This is a team that's not used to getting shut out.
They had won 14 straight going into the ACC championship. Then ran into Keely Rochard of Virginia Tech, the nation's strikeout leader. And lost there, but have rebounded here in this regional round. And the field will start to fill out today as these noon games come to a close around the Hokies. Duke has a 9-7 lead on Georgia in the bottom of the 5th. Georgia in a similar position to Notre Dame, needing just 1 win to move on to Supers. So they could be in for a 7th game as well. There were, among the 9 remaining SEC teams today, 6 of them who had emerged from the winner's bracket to the regional final, needing just 1 victory to advance. Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Kentucky, those remaining 3 teams that needed a 2-win day.
And teams are going to be just laying it on the line today. I mean, there's 16, now 15 other teams, since Virginia Tech's already in Super Regionals. That'll be, you know, going home today. So each team knows that. They do not want their seasons to end. You're going to see a lot of fight. I mean, that score from Duke and Georgia right now is something else.
That ball curved as it bounced away from Purcell. And if it was not going to be caught on the fly, it was going to be in favor of Autumn Humes, going up the line, and just found its spot on the infield.
These are balls you want to do anything you can to catch it, because when it does drop, it just spins. You've got to transition the ball, as Purcell tried to do. I would have loved to see Marino or Purcell just call the ball, go all out, give your best effort to try and catch the ball.
Vanessa Nesby pinch running for Autumn Humes. Tough day for Riley Smith at the plate, and a difficult regional as well. She's 0 for 3 today and 1 for 9 on the weekend. On to first, foul ball. Kens was ready to record that 3rd out, bring Notre Dame to the plate. She's 2 up 3rd in the bottom of the 7th inning. The senior captain over at first base. Holloway, the senior, in the circle, ahead 1-2. Misses in the dirt. And a throw down to second, bounces away from Purcell. Nesby in the scoring position.
This pitch count's getting up pretty high for Holloway. Throwing a few more balls, few more in the dirt. Good base running there from Nesby, no hesitation. See that ball in the dirt, especially when it's a long throw for the catcher all the way to second. That is a green light all the way.
2-2 into the glove of a leaping Marino, inning over. 3 outs to work with for the Irish, a 7-run deficit to try and overcome. For regionals, Deanna Gump talked about it with her team. She said they want it so much. I just have to bring it up because I don't avoid conflict. How do we handle it? If we keep it simple, we're going to be in much better shape. And it's not going to get more simple than this for them. They're 3 outs away from losing this game, so they'll have 1 game left for the whole season to ride on.
And that is definitely in the back of Coach Gump's mind. There's no doubt about it. Her team, you know, sometimes you want something so bad, you get out of your element, you do things differently. But I know Coach Gump and her staff and her team, if they are not able to come back and fight back into this game, and we do go to the if game, her message will be very simple: to get rid of this first game. We still have the entire season and every opportunity in front of us. And as we all know, sometimes you fight the hardest when your back's against the wall the furthest.
Kentucky has certainly showed that today, and it'll be an interesting equalizer to see as Notre Dame run-ruled Kentucky. The Wildcats threatened to do that with 6 over the first 2 innings. So each team has taken the other's best shot. Who will have the most in a game later on this afternoon? Marino 0 for 3. Notre Dame on the day with just 3 hits.
And you might think here on the other side of Kentucky, why is Autumn Hume still in this game? They have a lot of pitchers who could go in. We saw Grace Ballman do a nice job yesterday. And, the answer is, this is what Rachel Lawson's been relying on all season long. And this is Autumn Hume's taking advantage of the extra year of eligibility. I mean, this is her career at Kentucky. She wants the ball. Coach Lawson trusts her. She's in a rhythm. Sometimes when you take a pitcher out in this situation, they relax a little bit mentally, get a little bit cold. But right now, she's pitching a shutout. Her team's playing well behind her. She's in that rhythm.
And she's 1 out away from dealing a shutout in the most important game of the year to date, because that will quickly be surpassed by the game to follow.
I mean, look at the pitch count. I mean, that might be close to one of her lowest totals of the season right now. Just 64 pitches so far for Autumn Humes. That is extremely efficient.
Gens to shallow right, diving grab by Blaine ends it. And we are on to Game 7 in Lexington. 7-0 the final for Kentucky. They'll be back at it in about 45 minutes.
What a way to end the game. Look at this effort from Emmy Blaine. I don't think Kentucky is thinking about super regionals. They've got 1 more game to go to make it happen. When Kentucky needed it the most, they got an outstanding performance from Humes in the circle, hitting through the lineup. Outstanding game for Kentucky as they bounce back against Notre Dame.
The 7th and final game from Lexington will be available for you on the ESPN app just before the top of the hour. Now it's time to get you to Tallahassee, UCF, Florida State. With Brittany McKinney, here's Jen Hildreth with the game underway.